The Art Nouveau. The Art Nouveau emerged during the last decade of the 19th century, and its influence was extended up to the first decade of the 20th century. It was known with several different names, such as Jugendstil in Germany and Nordic countries, Secession in Austria, Modern Style in the United Kingdom, Liberty in Italy, and Modernismo in Spain. All of these names refer to the same thing, though, the intention of adapting to the future. It is an ornamental style of art that flourished between about 1890 and 1910 throughout Europe and the United States. Now, Art Nouveau is characterized by its use of a long, sinuous organic line. It's employed most often in architecture, interior design, jewelry and glass design, posters, and illustrations. This is a deliberate attempt to create a new style free of the imitative historicism that dominated much of the 19th century art and design. It was also committed to the modern as opposed to what was considered at the time to be state imposition, such as the classic. It was in favor of art intervening in urbanizations and cities to transform them into spaces where nature is very present. Therefore, free, natural, fluid, asymmetrical, and dynamic forms are highly preferred. As for the typical materials used are colorful ones, including wood, metal, and glass. It is important to highlight that it is a style that actively pursues decoration and puts the focus on textiles, as well as on all kinds of utensils, such as tableware. Its main aim is to create a new, free, young, and modern art. This reflected on the exaltation of nature, form of flower stalks and buds, vine tendrils, insect wings, and other delicate and sinuous natural objects. It has an undulating asymmetric line as long as a central movement of organic lines combining function and ornamentation. And lastly, it valuates craftsmanship and aims to democratize beauty, giving aesthetic value to even the most everyday objects, thus bringing art within the reach of the entire population. The art, the term Art Nouveau was coined in Belgium by the periodical L'Art Moderne to prescribe the work of the artist group Levin, and in Paris by S. Bing, who named his gallery L'Art Nouveau. As for the intention of the movement, is to break with the Renaissance aesthetic in order to adapt it to the new industrial era that society was living during its moment of creation. It was also a key to the creation of Art Deco and the Bauhaus school. Its intention is of breaking a social reality in order to create a new adaptation to the already established knowledge. And also it was a many diverse countries union. As for the movement roots, Art Nouveau finds itself in other movement called arts and crafts, created by designer William Morris in around 1861. This artistic and decorative movement brought many importance in nature and handicraft objects. Also, the way in how they were trying to create a contrast with the unstoppable industrialization at the time. Art Nouveau took into account the importance of arts and crafts aspects, while also adding new materials, possibilities, and techniques facilitated because of industrialization. The aim was to create a modern style, more in tune with the culture and mentality of the time, derived, of course, from the knowledge accumulated throughout the history of mankind. Now, we have to know what is the difference between Art Nouveau and Art Deco. Art Deco refers to the decorative arts, as the name derived from the abbreviation of arts décoratives. This artistic movement was born just as Art Nouveau was losing momentum until it died out, so it could be said to be its successor. Art Deco loves geometrical forms, while Art Nouveau is all about asymmetry. Finally, Art Nouveau is inspired by artists such as Toulouse-Lautrec or climate nature itself, while Art Deco tries to bring the avant-garde into the home. After 1910, Art Nouveau appeared old-fashioned and limited and was generally abandoned as a distinct decorative style. In the 1960s, though, however, the style was rehabilitated, in part by major exhibitions organized at the Museum of Modern Art in New York around 1959 and at the Musée National d'Art Moderne in 1960, as well as the large-scale retrospective on Bletchley held at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London in 1966. The exhibitions elevated the status of the movement, which had often been viewed by critics as a passing trend, to the level of other major modern art movements of the late 19th century. Currents of the movement were revitalized in pop and up art. In the popular domain, the flowery organic lines of Art Nouveau were revived as a new psychedelic style in fashion, and in the typography used in rock and pop album covers, and in commercial advertising. The expositors. The designers used to be multidisciplinary artists who moved from graphic arts and painting to architecture and interior design to furniture design and decoration. Architecture particularly shows the synthesis of ornaments and structure, a liberal combination of materials like ironwork, glass, ceramic, and brickwork. This approach was directly opposed to the traditional architectural values of reason and clarity of structure. As for the representants, in England, the style's immediate precursors were the aestheticism of the illustration Aubrey Bradley, who depended heavily on the expressive quality of organic line, as shown in here. We also had the arts and crafts movement of William Morris, who established the importance of a vital style in the applied arts. While also on the European continent, we had experiments with expressive line by the painters Paul Gauguin and Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec. The movement was also partly inspired by the vogue of the liner patterns of the Japanese prince ukiyo-e. Also, some of the more prominent were Scottish architect and designer Charles Rennie Mackintosh, who specialized in a predominantly geometric line. We had the Belgian architects Henry van Belt and Victor Horta, whose extremely sinuous and delicate structures influenced the French architect Hector Guirnard, another important figure. We also had the American glassmaker Louis Comfort Tiffany, the French furniture and ironwork designer Louis Majorel, as well as the Czechoslovakian graphic design artist Alphonse Mucha. We had also the French glass and jewelry designer René Lalique, the American architect Louis Henry Sullivan, who used plant-like Art Nouveau ironwork to decorate his traditional structured buildings. as well as for the Spanish architect and sculptor Antonio Gaudi, who was perhaps the most original artist of the movement, who went beyond dependence on to transform buildings into curving, bulbous, brightly colored organic constructions. Finally, it is safe to say that Art Nouveau captivated Europe and beyond, leaving a lasting influence on the aesthetics of the time. This reflects on the beauty. Nonetheless, Art Nouveau remains a significant chapter in the history of art and design, revered for its innovative spirit, exquisite craftsmanship, and enduring legacy. Its influence can still be seen in contemporary design, and it continues to inspire artists, designers, and admirers around the world. Its many characteristics were of much help to construct the worldview as it is currently. I consider that the opposition to the change given at that time, while also wanting to incorporate different elements to this, is what provides the movement with such an important highlight on diverse focuses. It is what really puts together everything, in this case, of course. No, for nothing, it is considered one of the most iconic movements to be created. No, ya terminé.